Right, next, what we're going to do is focus on workforce development with future-proofing the workforce with green skills. It's going to be presented by Peter Watts, who's just joined me. He's Director of Watts Sustainability. Speedy Hire's one-day building sustainability confidence programme is equipping colleagues with the hands-on knowledge they need to drive a greener future. So it's over to you, Peter.
Okay, wonderful. So welcome. Peter Watts here, Watts Sustainability, and it's a real pleasure to be here to talk about green skills and green education, upskilling workforce, which are three of my favourite areas. So we've been working in kind of three key areas: sustainability, education, and green skills, carbon and net zero, and sustainability strategy. And I think one of the key strengths we have as an organisation is kind of combining those three areas. I think they're really complementary. We've got multi-sectoral experience, so these are some of our current key clients. So we do a lot of work in construction sector, construction materials. And obviously Speedy is a really important client of ours. And in this presentation, I'm going to give a bit of a context to what green skills are, the imperatives and drivers for green skills for different organisations, and some case studies of green skills in practice and some different training frameworks. So hopefully there will be something useful here for you. There is the building impetus for green skills, not least of all the kind of things like the climate and biodiversity crises. There's a policy driver. The government have just launched a 10-point plan for green industrial revolution, which supports an additional 250,000 green jobs on top of about 410,000 current green jobs in low carbon goods and services, worth about £42.6 billion. And this isn't just about kind of green jobs, it's about upskilling many different roles. In fact, most roles you could make an argument that there needs to be some knowledge around sustainability. So just giving an example, so we do quite a lot of work in the construction industry and construction materials. So if you are in the construction materials industry, like manufacturing insulation or bricks or blocks or concrete or cement, you're probably already going through or have transitioned to a lot of sustainability actions. So for example, you have the high level net zero motivation from the Climate Change Act, so compliance requirement. Maybe some of your clients are government projects, infrastructure projects, having to comply with directly. Probably a lot of your clients are asking for low carbon products for their building infrastructure projects. The data on this is evolving really quickly, but as we decarbonise the power grid in the UK, when you're looking at the carbon footprint of a building or asset over the life cycle, the carbon in the materials is becoming kind of the lion's share of the carbon footprint of a life cycle. So, having that literacy in being able to understand that from your own product perspective, decarbonise it and communicate it to clients is really crucial. Of course, there's the overarching data and reporting requirements. My predecessor was talking about LCAs, for example, and environmental product declarations. We know the construction sector is a big fan of data, and of course, there are competence requirements and skill requirements around all of that. And of course, there are a lot of drivers from the client side as well for reducing carbon of their projects and coming up with low carbon alternatives. And sustainability, at least for some of the clients that we've been working with in this sector, has become something that's like fairly peripheral and something like kind of like added value to something that's becoming really a core part of their service offering. And then of course lots of other supplementary legislation as well. So you would likely have requirement for what we call kind of strategic and commercial green skills. So that can be understanding some of the drivers from the construction sector industry, understanding your green products and services and how these can make an impact on client projects. So for example, you might be selling materials to an infrastructure project that's trying to meet decarbonisation targets. Being able to understand what that actually means and what that actually means for your product portfolio. This is a particular skill set, and as well as wider sustainability issues such as social value, as well as those technical skills I was mentioning. Probably if you're in this sector, you might be digging big holes in the ground and quarries and production facilities, so you're likely to have a lot of operational impacts as well. whether that's emissions from mobile plant and machinery, factories, processing. You're probably going to have a direct impact on land. I know a lot of organisations in this sector have significant landowners, so lots of impacts on biodiversity, wildlife and protected species. And then, of course, there's all the legislation around pollution permitting and nuisance to have the understanding of what these means for your organisation and protecting from risk. So there's kind of like lots of different facets, and it's coming from different directions. So what do we mean by green skills? Well, this can mean different things, obviously, for different sectors and different roles, but broadly, it's the ability to take action. The ability to take action and to future-proof the workforce, to move towards a sustainable world, advocating for strategies to equip workers with the education and skills that they need to implement sustainability through their work. And I think definitely in the time that I've worked in this sector, sustainability has moved from being something in the realm of the sustainability team and specialists within an organisation into something which has got to be embraced by a wide range of job roles at senior level and at operational level in organisations, and also throughout the supply chain, which I think is, you know, like a key focus of this Sustainability Live conference we're talking about today. We're talking about green skills. We mean an umbrella term for technical skills, knowledge, behaviours and capabilities required to tackle environmental challenges and unlock new opportunities for growth. And this means transition from existing specialist roles and expanding their scope. I mean, I've worked in sustainability for quite a while, more than 20 years, and it's something you can never really rest on your laurels. There's always something new you need to know about. There's always a new area of practice, a new standard, new legislation. So I think that kind of expansion in existing roles, I don't think that ever stops, but I think that's definitely accelerated. I mean, anecdotally, with the organisations that we're working with, a lot of them would not have done very much in this space up until sort of 3-4 years ago, and I think the demand for sustainability and green skills has greatly expanded. Green skills and non-specialist roles, sales commercial team, for example, board exec, various operational roles. I'm going to give an example of how that can be addressed in a minute. Transition of workforces from unsustainable sectors to new roles. Well, you know, we've had some kind of bitter experience of that in the UK with closing down of the coal mines in the 80s, and you know, you have communities in certain parts of the country that never really recovered from that. So, you know, perhaps we can learn some lessons about the green transition, and you know, overall, you know, net zero and sustainability is an opportunity for innovation, job creation, and prosperity. But you know, also we have to be careful we don't leave people behind. So for example, there are lots of transferable skills. Like we have this example here, oil rig engineers. What about transferring skills from people working on oil rigs to work in renewable energy, offshore renewable energy installations, offshore wind, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of kind of compatibility between skill sets between these areas. And then finally, the demand for green skills in new green sectors and organisations. I know we've had speakers today who are working with technologies like hydrogen fuel cells, for example. So there's lots and lots of innovations that are happening. The UK is a really innovative country and is at the forefront of a lot of technologies. Green skills, I mean, it's in the time when I was been working in sustainability, you know, it was often an employer's market when you're looking for a sustainability role, a lot of competition for jobs, and I think that's really switched now. And I think a lot of people trying to recruit sustainability specialists, as you know, there's a lot of opportunity out there. So if you have green skills, if you can, you know, calculate a carbon footprint or understand sustainability risks from a manufacturing site, or you've got skills in putting together a life cycle assessment or something like that, you know, that's a really hot commodity in the marketplace. There's a real shortage. And, you know, the big drivers that we have, like in the UK, the Climate Change Act and biodiversity net gain and other bits of policy, are really driving demand for green skills. This is an interesting bit of research from LinkedIn, actually, called the Global Green Skills Report. And you can see the three biggest areas of demand for green skills around climate change and decarbonisation, kind of predictably: nature, biodiversity, and circularity and materials as well. And the same survey found that 97% of those hiring sustainability professionals have experienced skill shortages in the last year. So I'd like to talk to you kind of next part of my presentation about, how can we address those skills gaps. I want to show you a couple of examples. So transitioning a workforce, like we say, to really get hold of the low carbon agenda, it can't just be a limited number of roles in organisations. This area is so important. It kind of traverses, kind of sales, marketing, procurement, operations, and not least of all the executive. So, for example, the HR people, you need to be able to develop skill sets in people. There's kind of what I call kind of hard technical skills to be developed, like understanding your science-based target from your life cycle assessment, and then there's the kind of the soft skills. A lot of sustainability involves change, and change is difficult. And to implement change in organisations, you need to be a great communicator and a great strategiser. Finance, another example, a lot of people working in financial roles in organisations are also being given responsibilities around sustainability reporting, and as well as looking at the business case, investments for sustainability, and return on investment, etc., etc. Sales team and marketing, obviously, a lot of, like the example I gave of the construction materials company at the beginning, being able to communicate the green credentials of your product without greenwashing, that's really, really important. And kind of building on so my predecessor was speaking before about greenwash. It's something you come across constantly, and I would say a lot of greenwashing is inadvertent. People use words like eco-friendly and green and sustainable without actually kind of backing that up with evidence, or a lot of it is kind of inadvertent. Research, development, innovation, product design, this is something you really can never rest on your laurels about. I was talking about one of our key clients being Speedy, for example, that are doing a lot of really interesting work in this space, bringing hydrogen fuel cells to market for mobile plant, for example. So, again, this is an area where things move really, really quickly, and you have to kind of stay ahead of kind of what your competitors are doing in this space. And then procurement and supply chain. We do a lot of work in carbon footprinting and decarbonisation, and the vast majority of our clients, with one key exception being construction materials, the scope 3, the value chain emissions, the procurement emissions, from a carbon perspective, are often really dominant. So, if you're trying to decarbonise your business, that usually means decarbonising your supply chain as well. And, in your supply chain, there may be organisations that are really, really literate in this stuff. They know, they've already implemented a science-based target. They've got a pipeline of initiatives to deliver decarbonisation or other environmental improvements. But you'll also find typically that there are many organisations that might just be starting out on this journey. So in terms of like managing your green transition and raising green skills in organisations, maybe your boundary needs to be a little bit wider than your own organisation, and perhaps, your organisation, after it builds expertise, can also kind of work with your supply chain to help deliver that. So some key questions. What are our key environmental risks and opportunities? So maybe as a starting point, you might have a strategy, sustainability strategy for your organisation. You might have sustainability already reflected at a high level within your overall organisational strategy. So you need to kind of have a starting point to see, what is it that we need to understand and what we need to deliver? What are the specific skills which we need to build in our own workforce? Do we need to bring in external expertise, consultancy, or is this something that we can develop through our own people? I think what a lot of my clients have done, which is really successful, and I know that Speedy have done quite a lot of this, is kind of transitioning people from non-sustainable roles into sustainability-related roles, and developing their skill sets. And I think with sustainability, I think when you've got a bit of life experience and you've worked in a different role, like, I don't know, marketing or comms or whatever, I think that can be really beneficial. I think sustainability is a real kind of a generalist subject. So I think there's lots of existing skill sets from different roles that could be really complementary to it as well. And I think it's understanding what the sector needs as well. particular sectors like construction, for example, rail, infrastructure, there are particular demands for certain skills as well. Then the bottom three here, how do we judge the effectiveness of a green skills program? What roles will this develop the most value to? And is this an opportunity for us to mainstream sustainability? Well, sustainability can really be kind of the rocket fuel that really gets your strategy going. And when you're looking at the return on investment for a green skills program, for example, for training people in sustainability, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, then that can sometimes be a bit challenging because when you give people this knowledge and these skills, you turn them from a bystander into someone delivering action. That can lead to really good things and really take you really great places. So it's not always easy. There's some things it's easy to calculate the return on investment. But with sustainability, it's generally going to be future-proofing your business. But if you're developing these key skills amongst your workforce, you're protecting yourself from future risks, and you're building the literacy so people can understand new innovations, new bits of research, new areas of knowledge to be able to adapt your business going forward. You're kind of more resilient in the long term. I want to talk about a project now that's very close to my heart, and that is the Speedy ESG Business Partners Programme, which was really, really innovative. And I work with Amelia and her team. And what we did was we took a number of colleagues at Speedy who were not generally in sustainability roles, and we kind of upskilled them to a pretty significant level. So their challenge was, I'm sure as others have spoken about today, we're increasing demand for customers for decarbonisation and other sustainability objectives. Speedy have got an ambitious sustainability strategy, or ESG strategy, a decade to deliver. And Speedy, sustainability, I know at Speedy has gone from something which perhaps in the past was more peripheral to something that's kind of central to their business model. So the idea was to work out, initially kind of like a senior level in the business, who was going to be most influential in this area. So looking at kind of generally kind of senior people and managers in these different roles. So this is not exhaustive, but these are some of the people that were part of the program: marketing, legal, sales, category managers, supply chain, ops, HR, IT, depot managers, finance, and property. So we identified these individuals. We split them into various cohorts, and we give them a training program via IEMA, Institute of Environmental Management Assessment, called the IEMA Foundation Certificate in Environmental Management and Assessment, which I'll talk about more in a moment. And as well as that, we also delivered a set of role-specific workshops where we bespoke the training to Speedy. So as well as getting this kind of baseline knowledge in ESG and sustainability, they also did a number of exercises in how to implement that into their roles going forward. So the IEMA Foundation course is a 5-day course from IEMA, Institute of Environmental Management Assessment, which I expect probably quite a lot of you are aware of, but they're the main sort of sustainability qualification body in the UK, or one of the principal ones. And the Associate Standard has 13 skill areas, and 6 of those are technical skills, and 7 of those skills are soft skills. So like I said at the beginning, we're talking about green skills. There are 2 parts to it, and I would say the soft skills are as important as the technical skills. So going through this program, as well as learning about the nitty-gritty about ISO 14001 and environmental product declarations and the different pieces of legislation and life cycle assessment, etc., that's important as baseline knowledge for this. They're also learning about communication, about developing relationships, about sustainability, about building resilience, about change management as well. So this skill set, when you're at a C-level organisation, this is kind of really, really useful to help you kind of embed this into your team. So this was kind of the starting point for Speedy with this. And after going through this program, as well as learning about these key sustainability themes, these hard skills and soft skills, they also got a professional qualification from IEMA, a professional standard called the IEMA Associate status as well, which is widely recognised in the UK and abroad as demonstrating professional competence in sustainability. So this was kind of the initial project which we worked on. We've had some really great feedback from it, so I think it went well. I mean, maybe people don't tell me everything, but everything that I got told was it was quite well received. So this is their marketing, not mine. And this is the next project we're working on with another IEMA framework called Environmental Sustainability Skills for the Workforce. And this is a one-day training on sustainability and ESG, which we're rolling out to a wider workforce. So Speedy have got some ambitious targets on workforce development, and we're really really privileged to be able to help them deliver this. So there are lots of training frameworks around. I think we had a colleague earlier from the Supply Chain Sustainability Schools, who've got some fantastic resources for the construction industry on specific topics. One framework which we work with quite a lot is through IEMA. So we wrote a lot of courses directly for IEMA themselves that are used by different training providers. And then for us as a training provider at What's Sustainability, we've kind of specialised in taking IEMA training frameworks and building organisational bespoke courses. So these are some of the clients we've done it for, like Forterra, Heidelberg Materials, Lego, and not least of all, Speedy as well. And I think these training frameworks, I've got 3 up here on the screen: sustainability skills for the workforce, sustainability skills for the manager, and the IEMA Foundation course. These really lend themselves well for helping deliver behaviour change programmes and build green skills in the workforce. These courses exist as off-the-shelf courses as well, but I feel, through my experience, the clients we've worked with, they really work very well when they're built into a client-specific training programme, because as well as having an IEMA recognised certificate from going through them, they also help support an organisation's sustainability strategy. So all these organisations we've worked with have, one, had some specific risks and opportunities for their sector, and have a specific underlying sustainability strategy which they're trying to deliver. So they're quite adaptable. And broadly, even the workforce and the managers level courses, they cover kind of a range of environmental, technical skills and soft skills as well, the comms side. And the communication side, and the kind of wider kind of soft skills like relationship development, change management, they're really emphasised in the managers course and in the foundation course as well. So they've got slightly different audiences. So how do we go on our green skills journey? Like I said, we're understanding our strategic direction to begin with. Like I was talking about earlier, what is our starting point? What is our strategy? Do we have a sustainability strategy? If we don't have a sustainability strategy, what's our wider organisational strategy? What are our kind of objectives for the next 5 years, 10 years? How does sustainability fit into that? What upcoming policy, legislation, political changes are happening that might affect that? What's kind of happening wider in our sector? Undertaking a needs analysis, so reviewing what's already in the business and mapping skills against roles. So like I was saying earlier, that you might have lots of existing job roles with skills and competences that are really aligned to sustainability or complementary. So it's kind of understanding that in the first instance. And then delivering. I mean, I've talked in this presentation primarily about training, but that's not only the way to deliver green skills. There's lots of online content. Some individuals might benefit from one-to-one coaching. There are lots and lots of ways in which you can convey information, bite-sized snippets, like the content for the Supply Chain Sustainability School, for example, or from others. So there's a lot of options out there. I mean, I've talked about IEMA, which is a framework which we use a lot, but it's not the only one, and it's finding something which kind of really works for your organisation. And also, it's also are we talking about training and upskilling a dozen people, or could we be talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, or potentially even thousands of people at some organisation? So it's determining that kind of segmentation of learners, and what's going to be most effective. And then finally, to evaluate the program. So, I've seen people that have gone through sustainability programs that we've delivered that have gone on to completely change their organization, like implement a strategy, develop new products and services, being promoted to being sustainability director in an organization. So in terms of like looking at the return on investment for delivering green skills, like I said, it's quite difficult to quantify in financial terms like you might do in many other investments, but generally it's going to be pretty positive and a worthwhile investment. And maybe if you're starting your green skills journey, we often work with organizations who want to deliver kind of like a pilot program. And, that can often be used to test the water, find out what works, what's working for your particular organization, get some feedback, and then use that as learning to roll out to a wider range of learners across your organizations and different skill sets. So, you don't have to go kind of all in at the beginning of your green skills journey. Maybe you want to start with, perhaps a handful of people who would most benefit from looking at improving their sustainability skills. So that brings us to the end. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope at least hopefully some of this was useful to you. And I've got a few sustainability terms up on the screen here, and I think hopefully we can build some literacy so everybody knows what these terms means.
Peter, thank you ever so much. Thank you for those actionable insights. It is, as I'm sure you'll agree, empowering to see how we can future-proof the workforce for a sustainable world. And if you think your business could benefit from upskilling your workforce, be sure to get in touch with Peter at What's Sustainability.